Hey, so today I am super excited to show you my new pattern that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. So, and then I thought we would put one together that I've been working on all week that I need to finish for the pattern. So we'll also have that. But first, let me show you what the pattern is. So I know most of y'all are probably well aware of my Nova pattern. So it has the Snuggler version and the Plushy version. So these are so beloved and my best-selling patterns, and I personally love them so much that I was thinking, why not supersize them? So that's exactly what I did. So this was the first attempt. So I started with the Snuggler because I really was only originally planning on offering the Snuggler version. So this is what my first attempt was. I felt like his body was a little bit too long. So on the second attempt, which is this lovely purple one, I shortened up the body a little bit, as you can tell, and I shortened up the tail a wee bit. I really like the way he turned out, and then I made him in blanket yarn, so just look how big he is in blanket yarn. I cannot believe it. He's huge. So for reference, this is regular Nova, and then this is Supernova. That's his name, Supernova. I think I forgot to mention that. This is the size difference in the exact same yarn. So he is definitely a much larger pattern, uses a lot more yarn, but I think he's perfect. So I finished this guy, and then I had a couple people ask me, well, are you gonna do a plushy version just like you did the regular or original Nova? And so I went, no, I really wasn't planning on it, but then I did a poll in my Instagram stories, and it turns out that people really wanted the plushy version as well, so I got to work. So then this guy was born. So again, size comparison, this is the exact same yarn. Obviously my original Nova pattern, and then my newest, which will be Supernova. So same style, but twice as big, 3 times as big, a lot bigger. So these are both used with Zaddy yarn, and I painted these eyes myself, and then these are also my eyes as well. But I'm really happy with how he's turning out. I don't know if people are tired of Fury Dragons yet. I'm not. I don't think I ever will be. I think it's kind of turned into an obsession. So, sorry. I do plan on having another pattern in September that won't be a Fury Dragon. So if you're hoping for maybe a regular or a themed dragon that's not a Night Fury, stay tuned. I promise that's coming out. So this pattern is in testing right now. Both are the Snuggler version and the Plushy version. So I got a lot of questions the first time when I did Nova. What is the difference between the Snuggler version and the Plushy version? Like you said, Kindle, these are the same patterns. What are you saying? Why are you trying to sell me a bundle? Well, they're actually the same concept, but they're different patterns. So the Snuggler version is made with half double crochets and is meant to not be stuffed. Usually half double crochets, it's bigger holes, so it's not meant to be stuffed. It's meant to be floppy. And so that's exactly how he is. Whereas the Plushy version is made with single crochets, and he is meant to be stuffed. And so the pattern does not write up the same when you change the stitches. If you are an experienced crocheter, you know that you can't just do the exact same pattern in single crochets. They won't. You could, but I wanted them to be about the same size. And so if I did that, then the Plushy version would have been a lot smaller and would not have flown with the same pattern, because I wanted the heads to be the same. So this is how he turned out. I absolutely love him. Earlier this week, I guess I forgot to share, I made this lovely blue one too with Zaddy Crafts Fearless yarn. That's the color. And I use these really beautiful eyes from Fairy Tales Crochet. I will link them below if you're curious. They're 35 millimeters, so they are quite large with this chenille yarn. I really, really love how this blue turned out. It's absolutely beautiful. If you watched my video that I posted a week or so ago, I talk about the Elise Voluto, and I talk about how amazingly soft it is. And so I, of course, wanted to order some to then make my own Snuggler for myself. So to keep, because I rarely keep things that I make myself. Most of these back here, a good number of them are actually from different designers and not from me. Well, some of them are, a good chunk of them are, but also about more than half of them are from other designers. So I decided to make something that was for myself. And so I was using the Elise Voluto. And then I also got these amazingly cool eyes from a girl named Haunted Pixies LLC. I will also link them below. She just came out with a Light Fury option. So I have those coming in the mail. So I'll show them off in another video. So I just obsessed with these, so I had to use them. These are 40 millimeter eyes with the Elise Voluto, and I thought it would be kind of different to add weighted pellets to his hands and his feet. I've never used weighted pellets before, but I purchased some for another project that I ended up never using them for, like months ago, so they've been sitting in my closet ever since. And I thought this was the perfect opportunity because nothing's better than like a little weighted cuddle bug. And so that's exactly what I did. He's perfectly weighted. I think it only adds maybe 3 or 4 pounds, like 4 or 5 pounds maybe. He's not super heavy. The yarn is actually pretty lightweight, so it does add a nice little heft to him, if you will. So yeah, I think this was also a fun way to do it. And if anyone's curious of how I added the weighted pellets and what I put them in, I'm happy to show that in a future video. I don't really have the supplies here to show it in this video, but I'm happy to do so in a future one. So those are all the ones that I've created so far. In my patterns, I like to showcase the pattern in like a normal chenille yarn. So I use Zaddy Crafts and then also a blanket yarn. So then you can see the size difference, because if you see the size difference, oops, not that one, this one, he is a lot larger. So I like to show like you can make the same pattern and make it bigger based off of the type of yarn and hook that you use. So, so today I need to finish the plushy version of Supernova. So I already have the body done and the wings and the horns for the head and the arms. And then I started the head, but I haven't finished because I'm not gonna lie, I ordered this yarn. I didn't have any, I didn't have enough of the basics to make a Supernova, so I decided I would make it with Bernat blanket. But then I didn't have enough Bernat blanket, and then I saw on Amazon that Bernat finally did baby blanket. And so I really thought that it would be just as soft as the white version of the baby blanket yarn. That is unfortunately not the case. If anything, it's like spongier, and I'm really disappointed, but I bought it specifically for this project, so I'm powering through. However, it's made this project last about 4 times longer than it needed to. So that's why I thought that I would record this today with y'all and force myself to finish this one. So I have part of the head and my wrist started hurting, so I decided to wait and take a break. And so now I am going to actually put it all together with y'all so you can see it come to life, and I can kind of show you through how I put on the different pieces of the dragon. So let's go ahead and get started. Get all this out of the way. Okay, so like always, I use my furls. I'm using the 6mm bronze for the Bernat supposedly baby blanket, but let's be real, this was a ploy. Anyways, let's go ahead and finish. I'm about halfway through. I'm not looking forward to this, as you can tell, but I need to finish it. And it's gonna be so big and cute once he's done, so I need to force myself to do it. So let's get it going. So like in my other patterns, or my other Fury patterns, I like to mark the middle of the rounds when I start to increase, so I can better know where to put the eyes and make sure they're centered with all of the increases. I just did 3 rounds, and I'm not gonna lie, that felt like a workout. This yarn is, he's gonna be soft and he's gonna be big and cuddly, but he's testing my patience. And this is why it's taking me like all week to do this one. And I don't understand. At least we're starting to get in the decrease rounds, so I know the end is near. All right, we gotta take a break to stretch. Stretch. It's important to stretch. It's important to take breaks. If you start to ever feel pain, when I first started crocheting, I pushed through the pain, and that's not good, not worth it. You want to be able to continue crocheting. So if you push through the pain, you're just going to push to injury, and that's not ideal, which is why I've been taking so many breaks with this pattern or with this yarn. I personally will not buy this yarn again. I feel duped. Nothing against Bernat. I just thought it was going to be like the other colors in the baby blanket line, where it was a little bit softer, a little bit lighter, and not as stiff and spongy. Not really stiff, but more spongy feeling rather than soft, lightweight feeling. If you touch the other baby bear line yarn, you'll not baby bear, sorry, baby blanket line, you'll know what I mean. And this one is not quite what I was hoping for. Okay, so we got to the part where we need to put the eyes in. Yeah, he's looking good so far. So I have the stitch marker here to show where the middle is. So I put that in the round of the first increases in a row. There's a note in the pattern that states where to put that stitch marker in case you want it to use it as well, of where to put your eyes. So I have been using 35mm and 40mm eyes. So these are 35mm with chenille. And so since this one's blanket yarn, just like this blanket yarn one, I used 40mm. So I'm going to use 40mm again for the Plushy version one. I got these from Nerdy Girl Crochets. I know that I talk about her a lot, and she has now constantly stocking Fury eyes. So those who are wanting to get Night Fury eyes and Light Fury eyes, definitely go check out Nerdy Girl Crochets, and she has them in all different sizes, from 20mm, maybe even 18mm, all the way up to 40mm. So if you need the larger size or any of the sizes, definitely check out her website. She's definitely going to keep these more in stock, and because they are in such high demand right now, because everyone's seems to be making a lot of Toothlesses and Night Furies. So we're going to use these. Now these are going to be a little bit harder to get in, especially with this yarn. So let's see how much I struggle. All right, so I usually like to, when I put them in, at least for my Fury patterns, I like to put my eyes about 5 to 6 stitches visible stitches apart, which usually equates to wherever my stitch marker is that I put in that round to signify the middle. I usually like it to be about 2 to 3 stitches on either side to the stitch marker to know that they're in the middle. So that's kind of how I did it here. So since we have it centered, yep, it looks, let me make sure, because we all know I love to overthink where I put the eyes. I think it's pretty centered, so I'll go ahead and take this out so it's not in the way when I'm trying to put the backs in. So like I've mentioned in an earlier video, you can change the personality and attitude of your plushies by changing how you put the eyes in. So you can kind of have them a little kind of derpy, excited looking, I guess, if you kind of put them up, or if you want to keep them in the middle, or kind of like that, kind of more level. I like to do the puppy dog from the bottom kind of look, so that's what I will be going with today. So let's make sure those are good, and let's get our towel so we don't scratch up the eyes when we try to put the backs in. So let's see if it'll let me do one click at first. Yep, okay, good. So that I love when the ones they actually do the click. A lot of the bigger eyes will, which is nice, so then you can really get a visual of how they're gonna look when they're fully sunken in. And I think they're looking pretty good. I really like where I place them. So I normally use this tool to get my eyes in, and I, push them down, but unfortunately this one I think they come in different sizes, but the one I have does not fit the large back eyes. So I am using one of my husband's socket tool things, and I'm going to see if I'm able to get them in with this. If not, then I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. I didn't have any trouble with the other ones, but we'll see. Sometimes I have to use my foot. Don't judge me. But we won't do that today. Okay, so it's sticking in, and then... yeah, it's not... Oh, there it goes. There's one. Let's see if we can get the other. Yep, that worked. So I know there's several other tools out there. I personally just like the ones that I can push down on. I don't like the ones that touch the front of the eye because I'm too worried that it's going to scratch the eye. I know there are several tools, so no judgment if you want to use different tools. This is just how I do it. And I get a lot of questions of how I get my eyes in, and honestly, that's about how I do it. So looks good. So now we have 4 more rounds, and then we'll have the head done and we can put it all together. So let's go ahead and finish. Where did I put my hook? Here. Okay, we have 2 more rounds, but I think we should go ahead and start adding some stuffing. You know, my favorite part. So I usually just like to stuff it a little bit just to kind of give it a little bit of shape, and then I will do the second to last round, and then I like to then stuff more and then do the last round and continue shaping it, and I'll show you what I mean when I get to that part before I fully close up the head. So let me do the second to last round real quick. Okay, so I did the second to last round, and now I'll add even more stuffing. So if you made it this far in my video, I think this would be a really great time for you to smash that subscribe button or like and comment, as it helps me more than you know. It helps my videos get pushed to other people within the YouTube community. And as I'm trying to grow this, I definitely wanted to get some reach so I can continue to provide these videos if you like them. If not, then I guess I'll stop. Just kidding. I will continue to do them as long as people watch them, I guess. Okay, so almost done stuffing here. Again, I will continue to stuff and shape the last round. This one, I like, as of right now, I have one more round, but I want to get most of the stuffing already in there. I tend to overstuff my heads only because I like them to show their full shape. That's also not everyone stuffs as much as probably I do. It's fine to not overstuff. That just is my preference, and I need more stuffing. 1 second. That's probably enough stuffing. So let's do the last round, which will still leave me a little bit of a hole to finish stuffing before we close the head up. Okay, so I did the last round. So let's put the hook up and let's cut our yarn and get this big guy out of the way. And you can go ahead and fasten that off. So now I like to go in. I know it's a little hole, but usually it's enough to get your finger in there.
That's what she said.
That sounded dirty. Sorry. Oof. Anyways, I like to make sure this part is the nose part is stuffed enough so it juts out a little bit, and that it's even underneath the eyes. So let's do that. So yeah, I just kind of add extra stuffing underneath the eyes and in the nose area, just to give it that shape that I am going for. Again, I tend to overstuff the head. That is a personal preference. Definitely stuff as much or as little as your heart desires. This is just what I do. Okay, I think that's pretty good, right? Maybe. So let's go ahead and close this up. All right. So now that his head is done, I like to add the horns on first before we go to the body. So let me grab the horns. I have them all in a basket down here. That's why I keep leaning over. Okay, so I like to start with the large horns, and then, hold on, I'm missing a few. So in this pattern, you probably noticed unlike some of my other patterns, I did the middle top horns, and I normally don't add these on because I think it kind of clutters the head. Usually on my smaller patterns, if we show you, I just don't think there's enough room for it, and so I prefer to leave them off on these. But because this head was so large, I kind of felt like I had the opportunity to include them this time, and I really like how it looks, so that's why I added them. But I do mention in the pattern to use as many of the horns as you want, or as small amount of the horns that you want, to kind of make him your own version of whatever kind of fairy you want. So again, I like to start with the large horns and then work my way down, and then we'll put the middle horns last because I like them to be a little bit behind the large horns, so it's a good guide to have the large horns first. It makes it a little bit easier to add those at the end. All right, we have the large horns on now, and then I like to move to the medium horns next. And I mentioned this in the pattern as well. I like to start these usually about a round or two above and behind the large horns, so like right about here. So then it kind of peeks out like that, if that makes sense. Again, I show this in the pattern with photos to hopefully show that that is a way to do it. But again, sewing is kind of your opportunity to do it however you like. A pattern is there to guide you to make it like how the designer made it, but you are always welcome to add your own style or creativity to it and kind of make it your own while you're creating something with it. And the medium horns are in, or at least 2 of them are in, and then we'll do the last 2 of the medium horns, and then we'll do the small horns. So just like the medium horns to the large horns, I like to do them a little bit behind the horns, so then it kind of is just like sticking out from it, if that, hopefully you can see it. That again is just a design preference. Have the freedom to do it however you wish when you're creating your own. All right, so now we have the medium horns all in there. I know this sewing of the horns can be a little cumbersome and maybe a little anxious when you do it, but I try to provide a lot of detail in the pattern of where to sew them and with pictures. So I'm hoping more than I have in my previous patterns. So I'm hoping that it will help people this time around. And because I do get the question a lot of how do I sew them exactly? And I usually just give like a range. Whereas in this pattern, I go horn by horn and show how exactly, where exactly I do sew them on. So let's go with the little guys. So I like these to kind of also just barely go behind the large horn all the way to the magic ring. So the magic ring is my guide of the center of the head. And so I don't go past that. So there is a little space in between the horns. All right, so now we have his big head. He's quite big. And there's, of course, stuffing fluff all over him, so ignore that. And so now let's get the big body. So so just like the Nova Plushy pattern, I made the tail crocheted in. It's not crocheted in on the Snuggler version just because of how I constructed it. I prefer that to be sewn in. So that's the little difference between the 2 patterns. But for this one, for the Plushy version, it is crocheted in, and I went ahead and already sewed on the tail pieces because I was bored the other day and wanted to make some progress. So I went ahead and already did that. So now I'm going to I'm going to sew the head to the body. I'm hoping that the sewing sticks I have will be long enough to make this work. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I got these longer ones. They're not super long, but they're longer than like these, for instance. So I got these from Dandelion Tonic, and I use them for some of my larger plushies, and then I get these from Britt from Nerdy Girl Crochets. They're a little bit smaller, and I think they're perfect for some of the smaller plushies. So I use both of them a lot. They are super helpful when sewing on, especially if you're a beginner and you're having a hard time keeping the head straight or any kind of piece where they need to be when you're sewing on. This is a perfect tool to use. I'll link both of those designers in the description, so if you're interested in going and buying some, you can. So let's see how this goes. I think I need to add a little bit more stuffing. So I also mentioned this in the pattern, but so the hole is about this big, and you'll be sewing it on right in the middle of the head here. And what I like to do is I like stick it on and then put the sewing sticks in and see how that looks. Looks pretty good. So let's then start sewing it on. The key is keeping it straight, which is not always my expertise, but we're gonna see how it goes today. I already messed up. Okay. It is definitely a little bit more challenging to sew on heads of a larger plushie, I feel like, just because it's just, I feel like I'm manhandling him the whole time. But, you know, it's just part of the process, I guess. And this pattern is definitely one of my biggest ones. I will say it rivals Midnight. It uses about the same amount of yarn as Midnight. And if you know Midnight, it was my first Fury pattern. And I designed it with fairly thin yarn, thinking that it was going to be the perfect size. And then when I did it in blanket yarn, he was ginormous. And so for reference, this head is just a wee bit bigger than Midnight. So it's definitely comparable to Midnight. Okay, so I made it almost all the way around. There's a small hole still open, so I can at least take these out. This is when I like to add a little bit more stuffing to the neck, because you see how he's wobbly right now, and you don't want that. I mean, if that's what you want, then by all means, don't let me tell you otherwise, but I like to add extra stuffing here just to make sure that the head is more stable and doesn't wobble as much. I definitely kind of understuffed the top part of the body, so that's why I'm having to add a little bit more than usual. Okay, I think that's probably, it's going to always be a little wobbly just because of the neck is a little bit smaller, but that's a little bit better if you ask me. Okay, and then finish sewing him up. And just like that, we have the head on. Again, there's stuffing everywhere, so ignore that for now, but he's looking pretty cute. Oh no, I scratched up the eye. I hate when that happens. There, it rubbed off for the most part. I'll have to polish it before I sell him. Yeah, that's not bad. But yeah, he's looking pretty good. Again, plushy stuffing everywhere, but he's definitely like a small child with the tail. Okay, so now I like to do the arms, and I do have those already done. Right here. And so the arms, they do have these little kind of feetsy looking things, and I like to do them on just either side of the body. So that's how I'll be doing it. So I sew them at like a slight angle, if you can see here, just a slight angle. And then I also like to then sew down here, so like about here, sew it to the body, and then same in the front, because I personally don't like when the arms are doing this, but if that is your jam, don't let me tell you otherwise. You are welcome to sew it however you wish. So as you can see, the arms are a little bit more flush to the body instead of fully coming out. I mean, he still can move his arm out, but again, I like to keep it a little more flush to the body. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but on the other side. Okay, and then that's the arms are on, and I think he's looking pretty good. What do y'all think? He's definitely massive. So next, I think I'm going to do the wings, and then after the wings, I'm going to surface crochet on the spine. So similar to the Plushy version of Nova, I have a spine that's surface crocheted on, and I did that also in this pattern. I didn't do it in the Snuggler pattern because I usually like that pattern to be a little less detailed. Plus, I don't know how it would look with surface crochet on a Snuggler with the half double crochet. I think that might look kind of funky. So we are going to do the wings. I'm going to actually put this towel down so the eyes don't scratch. I'm a little worried about there's a lot more surface area for it to scratch. So I did already do the wings, and they seem huge in this yarn. I do give more instructions on how to sew the wings on. I do them kind of at an angle, like kind of like so, and then I also like to then sew it up this way too, so they lay a little bit more flat onto the body. So I'll show you after I sew them on. Okay, actually I'm going to do it in my lap. It makes it a little easier. So as you can see, I did, it is at an angle, and usually angle it down to the side of the tail like that. And then now I take this other tail from the wings, and I then sew it across to the arm here, so then it lays a little bit more flat. So now, as you can see, I have both of the wings fairly sewn on. I haven't sewn the top part of this wing yet, but you can see the difference now. You see how it stays up over here, and this one, it just kind of, it won't always stay up when I'm trying to do a picture of him. So I do like to just add that little security there. But again, if that is not how you envision your plushie turning out, that's totally fine. You're welcome to do, any kind of modifications to a pattern that you see fit. This is personally just how I like to do it, so that's why I'm showing this way that I do it. All right, and just like that, we have the wings in. I think he's looking pretty good. He's actually looking really good. The wings kind of stay up, which I like. And now we just need to add his spine, and we will surface crochet that on. I had another skein that I used for the body that I have a little bit left that wasn't enough to make the wings and stuff. So I'm hoping this will be enough to do the spine. So let's see how this goes. So the spine is surface crocheted on, and I usually start at the bottom of the tail, so here, and then going all the way up. And in the pattern, it tells you what stitches to do. So make sure to get the pattern if you're interested in making your own Supernova. Okay, so I get my hook and my yarn. Hopefully this is not a tangled mess. It might be. See how this goes. Definitely recommend untangling your yarn before you do this. This has been kind of a pain. Like, ooh. I'm over here rethinking my life choices. This is madness. I just want to finish the spine. Yarn, why do you do this to me? Okay, we're about halfway there. I am always reminded as I go on this, I've made quite a few of these, but I always forget how large this pattern is until I get to like this part. I'm like, Oh my goodness. But trust me, it's really worth it if you want a nice big cuddly fury. I personally love a nice big cuddly fury, so that's my vote, but don't know how y'all feel about it. Just kidding. Okay, so now that was enough yarn, which I'm glad. And of course, the tangled part is where we didn't get to, so let's just throw that out. And so once we have that surface crocheted on, we will just hide these yarn tails. Okay, and just like that, we have Supernova in blanket yarn. He is definitely very massive, but I think he's pretty cute. What do y'all think? This is his long tail. I think I really like him. Definitely don't know if I'm going to be getting that yarn again anytime soon, but I do like how the plush turned out, but it was definitely a workout. Here is the size comparison. These are obviously different yarns, so it's not a true size comparison, but my original Nova pattern and Plushy pattern and Supernova. I am so excited for this pattern to come out. He is currently in testing right now. If you ever want to test for me, make sure to follow me on Instagram at KP_crochet creations. That's where I do all my tester calls. And I pick a mix of new people that have never tested for me before, as well as a couple of trusted folks that test for me quite a bit, just to have a good, healthy mix. So if you're new to the crochet community and you're interested in looking, testing and meeting new people, definitely give me a follow and apply to my future tester calls. And I hope to meet you there. So this pattern will come out the last week of August. I'm not sure when this video is going to be uploaded. I don't know if it'll be before or after. If it's after, I'll definitely link it down in the description so you can go and purchase it. I have all my patterns for sale on Etsy as well as my website. I do sell them on my website for a little bit cheaper just because the fees are a little bit lower. So if you want a better deal, head over to my website for my patterns. And I will also be doing a plushie restock with all of these plushies that I have made for Supernova. They will all be available after the pattern release, so probably the last end of August, so probably like the 29th or 30th, so make sure to be looking out for that. I'll be posting that on Instagram as well as my website, so make sure you check back there. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye!